Municipalities work within a budget cap, but what about the state? I'm Jill Horner. This is Comcast Newsmakers. With me is New Jersey State Assemblyman Christopher DePhillips. Thanks so much for being with us.
Good to see you again. Thank you.
Municipalities have a 2% cap in place for their budgets, but the state doesn't have this type of cap in place. This is something that you want to consider, something that you are thinking about. Talk to us about why this should be a consideration.
Well, let's just look at the budget that we just enacted at the end of June. It was an 8% increase in spending year over year. I don't know any private businesses in the state that can tolerate an 8% cost increase. Certainly no municipality in the state can do that. It's against the law. In 2010, the Governor Christie, recommended a 2% cap. The legislature passed it. And the towns have been largely living within the 2% cap without problem. We need to bring the same cap to the state to basically get our arms around these massive spending increases that we've seen this last budget cycle.
Let's talk, though, about what would be within and outside of this cap, because there are things that fall outside of the cap for municipalities. Would the same hold true for the state?
Yes, that would most certainly be the case. I mean, there's certainly mandatory expenses that would not fall within the cap. We have pension costs, and we're all aware of the pension crisis in the state, which, by the way, didn't get any attention in the last budget cycle. There was no discussion in the legislature about arresting that problem. So the pension costs, healthcare costs, those are mandatory expenses that we would have very little control over. It's the discretionary spending that I'm talking about, and that's what the towns have been living with, and they've been finding ways to stay within the 2% cap. As to their discretionary expenses, we need to do the same at the state level.
And at this point, this is a conversation as to whether this would be addressed legislatively, or this would be a referendum, or addressed in another manner.
Absolutely. Right now, we're looking at a legislative solution. My colleagues in the Assembly Republican Caucus, Assemblyman Joe Haworth and Ryan Peters, are going to be leading the charge on this. I most certainly look forward to working with them on it. I think this is something that can get bipartisan support. I think it would be hypocritical for us not to do this when we're imposing the same requirement on the towns.
And this is something you say really ties into New Jersey being more competitive. How so?
I mean, you can just see in this last budget cycle, and competitiveness and innovation are not just buzzwords. They're real legislative. It's a real legislative focus for me. And when you pass a budget, in July 1, where we had 18 new tax increases built into that budget, you scare the daylights out of people in the state. Families and businesses are already leaving the state, and they don't need any more encouragement to depart New Jersey for other places that are rolling out the red carpet for them. So we really need to get a handle on spending. We need to do our part to reduce taxation in the state if we want to keep those businesses, if we want to keep competitiveness alive and well in New Jersey.
Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much.
We've been talking with New Jersey State Assemblyman Christopher DePhillips. I'm Jill Horner.